Good evening, everybody. Welcome to AMFAW number 33. Is it 33?
33.
33, the Jarhead 6 show. And ironically enough, our the good staff sergeant is unable to make it. He's late for a very important date. So we're going to have to tune him up when he gets here about the importance of keeping appointments when he makes them. Not one to say anything because I wasn't here last week, and neither was Budget Bug Out. So, to kick it off, as always, let's go with our Bible verse, and then we'll do our introductions.
Okay, the Bible verse that we have today, it's going to be from Romans chapter 8, verse 18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us.
Wow. Thoughts on that, Budget?
Sorry, what I was commenting.
Budget Bug Out, you have any thoughts?
I was commenting in the comment section. Sorry about that.
Any thoughts on the verse? Didn't hear a thing, did you?
I sorry. No. Oh, one more time. Sorry, what was that?
Okay, I'll say the verse one more time. Here we go. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us.
So what's your thoughts on that?
That sounds similar to the, I count it, joy, to be persecuted, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I like these type of verses because it really keeps things in perspective. Whenever things happen, like I know Jarhead 6 is having car troubles. I was having car troubles earlier, and you learn and you grow as a person, and you also grow closer to God, through those experiences. And those verses are right on point.
You also go closer to the counter guy at AutoZone.
Yes. Yes.
And I think he just got that car too. If it's the same car that broke down, he just made a road trip to go pick that thing up. He was 18 hours on the road.
Exactly, he went out of state. I think you're right, Ted. He went out of state to get that. It got a good price on it.
He thought. So I hope he gets it going, and when he gets it going, he'll join us. So. Wanted to take a minute and kind of do some introductions here since we have everybody here, and I want to kind of apologize because last week's episode has not showed up in the feed, and it was a communication error on my part. I was on the road last week, and I was trying to help David get everything going, and I think I steered him down the wrong path, so we will re-enter the Anderson chat from last week. I think we got a plan to do that. I think Jarhead 6 is going to capture that from a link into his computer and then re-upload it as a regular video. So that'll be up pretty soon, not to worry. Let's start with Colonel David Wilhoit, since he's been a constant trooper for us here lately. And there's Mr. Broke Down on the Road now. But anyway, David, if you want to introduce yourself while Jarhead 6 is spooling up.
Sure, I'll be glad to, Ted. Thank you. Hey, everybody, I'm David. My channel is D. Wilhoit Kentucky Guns and Fun. Glad to be here.
And Budget Bug Out.
Hi, yes, I'm Budget Bug Out. Also run a YouTube channel, mostly dealing with survival kits and knives and what I carry on me. Just not much, just a fun stuff, gears and guns and knives and stuff. But yeah, very, very glad to be part of this AMFAW network.
Awesome. And you are also the Red Cross volunteer, am I correct?
Correct, yes. In fact, I was just dealing with the Red Cross earlier. I'm going to they're flying me into St. Louis to go to a preparedness meeting of sorts. So I'll let y'all know what I learned from that.
Well, that's awesome.
Later this month.
And of course, I am Ted. I'm one of the primary administrators on the AMFAW channel. Um, kind of a prepper and part-time YouTube guy and Google Plus. I did have an interesting conversation today with a satellite phone provider that you guys have seen that I'm currently rented for hurricane season. A satellite phone. This is the antenna here. Well, the satellite provider that I rented this from, the antenna, if you see here, is broken right here at the base. And this is the Iridium 5505, I think. And it is one of the ones that have the antenna on the back of the sat phone, and you would rotate it up kind of up to a 45-degree angle. Well, it broke. So I called the company. They're based out of Dallas. I called them, and I literally couldn't get anybody on the phone. So I called their competitor, and the guy, you know, of course, they're out on the West Coast, and 8 o'clock my time is you know, what, 5 a.m. their time or whatever it is. And you know, that guy called me back as soon as he got to the office. He hooked me up. He got one of these things. It's on the way. It'll be here in about 4 days. Just the antenna. He's actually servicing his competition's devices, which I find incredible. So we started talking on the phone about AMFAW, and there's our friend Jarhead 6. So we started talking about AMFAW. Sure can. Okay. And all things that go along with that. Very nice guy named Jeremy. And Jeremy will be our guest next week, and he's going to explain to us how satellite phones work. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll see here on the phone where it says Iridium, which is like the brand name of it. That's actually the name of the satellite that this thing communicates with, the Iridium satellite. And the Inmarsat satellite you guys heard so much about on Flight 370, it has its own satellite it communicates with. OnStar has a satellite it communicates with. So the cool part about it is he's going to come explain this to us. And he's been gracious enough to be willing to provide an AMFAW promo code to anybody that wants to rent a sat phone that lives on the coast for hurricane season, or a personal locator beacon when you go hiking. You're out someplace where you may not have cell phone coverage. You can get the little personal locator beacons, kind of a panic button. If you get lost or whatever, you can hit that. It sends a signal to the satellite, and search and rescue teams will come find you. So he's going to be our guest next week. His name is Jeremy Carter, and we're looking forward to kind of hanging with him. Now, I've killed enough time here waiting for our guest of honor to arrive, and I'm so glad he made it. And so I would like to introduce, everybody knows Jarhead 6 that's watching this chat now, and watching the chat here on the side, so it's pretty funny. 22, the satellite phones, they have plans as low as the equipment rental, $22 a month plus whatever airtime you buy. You can buy the airtime in blocks, like $50 or whatever, and they will actually send you a text message on the device to tell you what your usage is at, so you know to either upgrade. And you can put a credit card on file or a debit card on file to keep supplying minutes. Now, everybody knows Jarhead 6 that's watching this chat now. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a back feed here from somebody.
I just did that. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I refreshed, and that caused that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do that too. So, yeah, this is cool stuff. Now, I put a video up on AMFAW about a sat phone a few weeks ago, and so we're going to kind of drill on this because people are kind of intimidated by new technology, and they don't need to be. When microwave ovens come out, they cost $1,500, and $1,500 in 1975 money was a lot of money. $1,500 in 2014 is a lot of money, but these things the technology is not brand new like it used to be, and so there are some new things coming out that he's going to explain to us next week, and good stuff. So we're gonna be watching for that. We're gonna put a video out on their behalf beforehand. So a week from today, they'll be on with us. So Jarhead 6, tell us about your channel. Welcome aboard. I'm glad you made it.
Thanks, man. I have some car issues in a way, But anyways, I like how you named the chat Jarhead 6 fanboys or fan club. It's pretty funny.
You
Um,
know we love you.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny because somebody told me today that I had a bunch of trolls, and I was like, okay, man, sure. But Jarhead 6, I mean, I run a channel on pretty much whatever I feel like it in a way. Sometimes I talked about weapons, knife, home defense, tactics, uh, current political issues. It's pretty much whatever I just, it's kind of interesting to me, and more like into the prepper side. I pass that information. Everything done based on my opinion, based on my experience, and like I always say, I'm not an expert by any means. If you guys got a plan and it works for you, continue using your plan. But I'm like a sponge. I like to collect information. You never know what tool you got to use. You get that toolbox and you start putting information in there. And sometimes you're gonna have to put different tools to accomplish a mission, and that's how I roll in a way.
So awesome, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about all things Jarhead 6 and the origins of Jarhead 6. So I guess the very first question we want people to ask, and I love that Anderson koozie, and I hope the Anderson folks are watching because I've got mine right here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colonel.
Thanks, Colonel. So I guess what we want to know first from Jarhead 6 is how did you get the name Jarhead 6? Why did you settle on that and not Sergeant Rock or something really cool like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult picking a name because, of course, now you could change the name with the new Google Plus and things like that. But I just didn't want to get a name that specifies me in one particular item. Like if I get something about guns, I got to talk about guns. If I get something about knife, I got to talk about knife. So I wanted to get something kind of very open in a way. And Marines are called devil dogs, jarheads. I mean, Marines got a lot of different names, and I'm a former Marine, so I picked Jarhead, and then the six has to do with my rank. I was not my rank, my pay level. Let's put it that way. Marines don't. E6 is not my rank. It was my pay level. My rank was staff sergeant. So. Which in the Marine Corps for budget bug out because he's in the Air Force, the staff sergeant's an E6, the staff NCO. So that's kind of where I came out with the whole Jarhead 6 based on my rank. And again, I just wanted to get something very, very open that it allows me to speak about anything that I want. So it's working out pretty well for now.
So that's pretty cool, and so that gives us the genesis to slide into things. So take me back to your early days. What made a young man decide he wanted to join the Marine Corps? And tell us about that experience. Tell us about what put you in there, where you went to boot camp in, what your MOS is, what your thoughts were. Kind of take us through that boot camp process with you there, if you won't mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because it was a guy asking me that question, or asking me questions about different jobs. Was it yesterday? I think it was. But pretty much, I just like any kid, finish high school. I start working in some warehouse, making probably $8 an hour, and making no money. And my best buddy joined the Marine Corps. And that's why, I mean, a lot of times I think, man, if we would have joined the Army, I would have joined the Army. If we would have joined the Air Force, I probably would have tried to join the Air Force or the Navy. But he joined the Marine Corps, went to boot camp, came back from boot camp, and I saw him, and he looks sharp, and he looked like a young Marine, and I kind of wanted that. I didn't want to work in a warehouse. So I joined the Marine Corps 2002, in March of 2002, and initially I wanted to be a military policeman. So I complained to my recruiter because I wanted to be an MP, which is a military policeman. Finally, he got me that position, and here I am thinking that my job was going to be, driving patrol cars and things like that. And what what comes to find out later on, which I didn't know, is that especially in the Army was a little bit bigger than the Marine Corps. Half this side of the MP called the field side, the field MPs, which they do a lot of infantry missions. And So I joined the Marine Corps, became an MP with the idea of getting out and becoming a police officer, and show up to the fleet after training thinking that I was going to be in a patrol car. And I remember my first question was like, "Hey man, when do we go in the patrol cars?" And the guys were, "This is not a patrol car, man. This is a field unit. We train here for dismounted operation, mounted operation, security, enemy prisoners of war handling, and things like that." And I just didn't know that side was even real. I'm thinking I'm gonna be driving a patrol car. So out of the almost 12 years in the Marine Corps, I did uh, I want to say about two years as actually a police officer driving a patrol car. The rest of the 10 years was straight up and doing infantry missions, which is pretty awesome. And a lot of those times was by choice. I didn't really like the police side of the house. I like more the infantry side of the house. And again, the MPs don't do full tactics like the grunts. I don't take the plays. The grunts are the grunts. Their job is to maneuver and kill and take care of business. But we get lucky enough to be in the combat MOS and do a lot of combat missions. So pretty much what the infantry has no time for, we got time for. Like doing raw reconnaissance, area security, presence patrols, and uh, it was fun. I mean, it was fun.
Of course, in the you know, and when you get into an urban area like Fallujah, for example, and Baghdad and Tikrit and all those towns there, once the grunts have swept through there and done uh, that initial security sweep and kind of got the area under control, that's when the MPs and the engineers come in and do their thing. I mean, they're kind of putting infrastructure in place that make it a little bit more conducive to the Americans, and also, those are aside from the initial sweep, those MPs are out there kicking doors, maintaining security in that ville. So, yeah, cool stuff. So you did your boot camp where?
What was that, Ted? Sorry, you broke up. Oh, I broke up.
I said, where did you do your boot camp? Was you a Paris Island guy or was you
Yeah,
San Diego?
yeah, Paris Island. Real Marines are made in Paris Island. If you're a Marine, you got that joke.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard there's that. So, uh, tell me about the first day pulling up on the bus at Marine Recruit Depot, Paris Island.
Man, that that is just as scary. I mean, whatever they tell you about boot camp is true. That those guys do a great job. They are intense. They are crazy. They have a mission, and the mission is to break you down to the point that you will cry like a little girl. And then after they break you down to that point that you just cry, they rebuild you the way they want to. And it's necessary because I mean you got to think about it. It's a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-old punks that go into boot camp thinking that this and that, and they break you down. But so I mean they make you do a lot of stupid things that you may think is stupid at that point, but at the end of the day, it was for the purpose. I tell you what, I lost 47 pounds in boot camp, so 47 pounds was a lot.
Well, I didn't have 47
So
pounds to lose when I went through boot camp. I was already a little thin boy when I got there.
yeah.
And I think Colonel Wilhoit has a question.
Yeah, I guess not ever. I had the military experience through my father, so I never asked any type of questions about what we're talking about now. So, being a young guy going in, um, once you get in there, I mean, is it? I, I don't know what I'm really wanting to know. I mean, is it that everybody is out to get you, or are people all? I mean, is it groups of guys, get ganged up, I guess. I don't know. The military, to me, not being in it, it seems like, that there might be groups of people inside there. So does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's always clips. There's always groups, and it's up to the leader when you get into those leader positions to break those groups. But the Marine Corps is very group related to which is a good thing and it's a bad thing too. when we're talking about groups that just guys are forming groups to picking all the guys and things like that, yeah, that's not good. And a lot of times those groups are broken pretty fast. But I mean, you're gonna get issue. You're gonna belong to a fire team leader, which is 4 guys. From there, you're gonna belong to a squad, which is 12 guys plus a squad leader, 13 guys, which is, in my opinion, is the best job in the Marine Corps when you're a squad leader. And then you go into the platoon sergeant, where you belong to a platoon, and usually that's the staff sergeant's job. He controls a platoon. So when it comes to that, you belong to that group. So let's say if you're in first squad, second fire team, that is your group. And if something happens to you, that is the group's fault, and you will be taken care to the fullest. I mean, they will babysit you, and they will teach you what you got to do, how you got to do it. I mean, to the point that they will teach you everything. So, and a lot of guys take pride on that, like I'm first squad leader, and Ted probably knows what I'm saying. If you part of first squad, and second squad comes and mess with you because he's a sergeant and you a young Marine, first squad leader is gonna say, hey, you don't mess with my family. So yeah, you get placed in that type of group, and they take care of you to the fullest. And sometimes taking care of you mean that you're not gonna like it, and you know what I'm saying. You're gonna learn in the future. I done for Marines that in 2-3 years later they were like, man, you were right. I just didn't get it in that point. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah. But there's also bad groups too, and it's up to the leadership to break those groups.
So I had a follow-up question based on what you said there in the beginning. I mean, and that's awesome. Thanks for saying all that. When you say words like leaders and divisions and platoons, all of us guys who are not military, I mean, and I'm glad you're saying the numbers, because I always wonder when somebody is this type of person or that type of person. So if you can kind of maybe expand on that a little bit, please.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. The Marine Corps is pretty good when it comes to this, and everyone forms this type of section. However, only like combat MOS really know the definition of first fire team, second fire team, because a lot of times it's just for the accountability purpose, for you to have accountability of your Marines. But
What does
a
MOS
platoon,
mean?
what's
What
that?
does MOS mean?
MOS is your occupation.
Okay.
So,
But I'm just saying,
depends.
I think there's people that might watch from time to time that are
No,
at
you're
zero
absolutely right,
military.
Colonel. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that Dan, the firearm guy, one time he was like, "Man, you need to like talk about this acronyms because I'm lost." So yeah, you're right. But yeah, your occupation. If you're a mail clerk, you probably don't deal with this. Or if you're an administrative guy, the fact that you have a platoon is primarily based on accountability. A platoon meaning a section. A section is the platoon is composed by 3 squads, and 3 squads are just three aisles, if you want to put it that way, and each one has 13 Marines. Now, one guy is the squad leader, and which is in section of that squad, and then you have 3 sections in that squad, and each section is going to have a fire team leader. So that's how it's divided. So and it's for the purpose of accountability. So if the platoon sergeant, which was one of my last job, if I come and I say, first squad, are you guys good? And they say, hey, I'm good. Second squad is good. Third squad is good. I automatically know that my entire platoon, my entire section is good. So, but at the same time, it's for combat. Let's say we approaching, we going down in the streets of Fallujah, like Ted was talking, and I want to say first squad, first fire team, going to that house. You're gonna be the assault team, meaning that you're gonna go inside. Second team is gonna be the support team, meaning that they're gonna be standing by in case of casualties or in case of detainees and things like that. And third team is going to be the auto security. That I gave my orders, and it would happen very very quick because everybody's organized, everybody knows what to do. So that is pretty much a whole, and it goes all the way up. Like after platoons, it goes companies, which is more platoons. It goes battalion, which is companies, and it goes regiments all the way. It's like a whole mass breakdown all the way up to the top of the chain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know.
typically in the Army, that falls into groups of four, where you got four squads to an infantry platoon, you got four platoons to an infantry company, you got four companies to an infantry battalion. You normally got three or four battalions to a brigade and three brigades to a division. So it kind of moves up like that. And the fourth platoon is always your headquarters platoon. So in an infantry unit, a standing infantry unit, you'd have three neck snapper platoons, and then you'd have one platoon of um, the guys that issued sheets and the armorers and the clerks and those kind of folks. So,
Mhm.
so after you left boot camp, where was your first posting? What was your first job assignment after that?
Yeah, I was after I left, I came here to North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, and I was assigned to a battalion which is no longer there. It's a military police battalion that it got disbanded or whatever the Marine Corps did with it. But I hit the fleet. I want to say about August, and about December. Oh yeah, August, no, October, something like that. August or October. About December, we went on deployment to Iraq during the first war, and it was December 2002. So we jumped into Iraq in December 2003, and that was the first combat deployment with those guys.
So you landed in Baghdad on your first deployment, or did you go to Kuwait first and jump off from there?
Yeah, we went to Kuwait to a place, I think it was called KMB or something, Kuwait Naval Base or something. I mean, again, we got there December, which I guess in a way we got kind of lucky because the main body or like the main Marines show up there, including the Army. I'm sure a little bit of the Air Force show up there too, but just not to leave you left out. But um, they show up there, I think February or March, because remember we jump into April, so we kind of show up there and we started doing a bunch of security, which was pretty much picking up the guys coming from the United States and taking them to the base, providing security for convoys and things like that. So yeah, it was I was December, I think it was December 28 or something like that,
Hmm.
which was
And
awesome.
what rank were you when you first got to the fleet? And explain to these guys what we mean by fleet, because most folks don't understand that.
The fleet is when you actually show up into your job. While you doing training, you are considered students, student status. So you just like a college student. In the Marine Corps, you go to boot camp, and then when you finish boot camp, if you're an infantryman, you go to SOI, a School of Infantry. If you're a non-infantryman, you go to Marine Corps training, Marine Corps combat training, which is another infantry school, but it's not as the infantry. It's a little bit lower than that. Um, so from there, you go into your occupation, your MOS, you whatever military occupation you are giving. So in my case, I went to boot camp for 3 months. I went to MCT, Marine Corps training, for 2 months, and then I went to Missouri to the police academy for what is it, 9 weeks or something like that. And then from there, you go into the fleet. Into the fleet meaning that you actually made it into the real Marines, if you want to call it. You're not a student anymore, and that's pretty much what it is. I was a private first class, which is an E2 in the Marine Corps, and then I think I want to wait 9 months or something like that to pick up E3, which at that time I thought was a really long time, but but I was a sergeant for 4 years, so to be a staff sergeant. So if you compare that time with what I did as a sergeant, is nothing. But yeah.
So what was your first impressions when you got, when your boots hit the ground in the Middle East, when you got off the aircraft in Kuwait? I know your mind had to be racing, because that goes through every guy's mind when they go on deployment. They're excited to go, and you're reared up and you're fired up and you want to go, and you want to get out there and you know,
Mm.
storm the beaches and all that. But I know there's some anxiety about that. And so kind of tell us about your first days on the ground in Kuwait.
Yeah, it was hot. I tell you that right now, it's really hot. It's about 140 degrees, dry heat. Um, I mean, it's one of those things. It's difficult to explain. You're gonna work for 6, 7, 8 months, whatever amount of time you're there, you're gonna work every day. The chances of getting killed, not so much in Kuwait, but when you go into Iraq, are extremely high. Um, Again, if you're the mail clerk and you're working inside the base and you're a FUV it, meaning that you're inside the base, nothing's going to happen to you. But if you're actually doing missions, the chances of you getting killed are extremely high. You have to be able to think about anything. Like you make contact with someone and 100 things are going to your mind. The chances of you stepping in top of an IED are extremely high. It's just one of those things that a lot of times you do things and then you come back, it's like, wow, you just did that? You didn't even realize it? And we're like, no, you kind of have to let it go in a way, because there's a large amount of time chance that you could get killed. And that's what I told the guy that was talking to me, I think it was yesterday. If you join the service right now, the chances of you going to Afghanistan are extremely high, especially if you become a Marine or an Army guy. And the chances of you getting killed are extremely high too. So when your recruiter give you that talk that you're gonna go to college, you may want to think again. I think Ted is gone.
No, not gone.
Yeah.
I had to take care of some business here, and I didn't want you to see it because I thought I might have to slap my kid on camera, but I don't have to. He's bigger than me, so I really can't get away with that anyway. But so you're in the desert, and you spent pretty much how many you what 3 or 4 deployments? Am I correct?
Yeah, I went 4 deployments.
So I want you to kind of explain to folks, what that's like on the folks you leave behind. What's your perception of what it would be like on the folks you leave behind, and how long was it between deployments? How long was you in the rear with the gear before you went back, outside the wire?
Yeah, I think I did. Let's see. I did 7 months in Iraq, came back, and maybe I spent about a year and a half. Did 7 more months. I spent, oh man, maybe like 2 years. Did 7 months again. Spent about a year and a half. Then did 12 months. My last, the one in Afghanistan was 12 months long. And then came back from that, and maybe about 5 months later, I went to Japan for about 15 to 16 months. So I live in Japan too. And then finally came back here and retired. So yeah, about a year and a half around there between deployments. But the thing about deployments too, that people say, well, a year and a half is a good time. You spend about 6 months of training. You train all the time, but there is a block of training called pre-deployment training, and once you enter that training, you could be doing training just because you're a Marine, and then you get specified as a Marine that is going to combat, and then you get placed in that pre-combat deployment training, and that could be pretty intense. There's 1,000,001 requirements that you got to meet to include, right nowadays there's so many stupid requirements that Marines got to meet. Not like 2003. 2003 we just left, or 2002. Now you got to do 1,000,000 things. So you could pretty much say that for 6 months prior to that deployment, it's going to be nonstop. To include, I was in a ship for 6 months. Those 6 months prior, I went on ship 3 times, and each one was for 3 weeks. So right there was 9 weeks gone, which is 2.5 months gone on a ship just for training, so I could go 6 months on a ship for real deployment. If that make any questions, that make any sense? I think the colonel had a question.
Yeah. My question's going to be, I can remember my father, he was an Army guy. I can remember him leaving. And prior to deployment, I can remember him talking about the shots and things that he had to take to go to where he was going. And is that anything that you can talk about?
Oh yeah. I have walked a line, and I have seen 5 guys on one side and 5 guys on the other side, and I have walked that line and get 12 shots, 12 to freaking 15 shots. As a matter of fact, I took the anthrax sections. I took them in 2003, and I guess you have to make it to 6, and then from 6, every single one has a specific amount of time you have to wait. So I was in the Marine Corps for so long that I took them all. But after 6, you have to take an annual reboost or something. Well, we took like 3, and then they came out and they were like, no, there's something wrong. We cannot take him anymore, or this and that. And we're like, oh, okay, fine. And like 3 years later, we started taking him again. So I don't know what happened in those years, but I'm sure it wasn't pretty. Thanks to the Lord, I wasn't a casualty or anything. But yeah, you do take a lot of medication. Sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not necessary. I tell you what, the malaria pills, if you ever taken malaria pills, it's horrible. It's like, it's, they were giving me, and some people say it doesn't happen now, but I'll tell you guys a quick story. They said they give you nightmares, and the nightmares are so real that it's just like being there. And in 2003, I was sleeping in top of a truck, and there were firefights every day. And I had a nightmare that this guy came down, walked me up, and this guy was like, "Hey man, have you seen Sergeant blah blah blah?" And this guy was shot, like he was a dead person. And I said, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "Right there." And I point out where he was, and the dead guy walked there. And I got up that morning so scared because it was so real. I was thinking that I told some Iraqi soldier or something that where one of the Marines were, in my dreams, and it was extremely real. So yeah, I mean those medications I have no doubt that was that medication giving me those nightmares. So I guess it's something that we have to deal with. Better that than malaria, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So
being a kid of a soldier, I mean, those are things that I remember. Being young, I remember blousing my dad's pants and working that kind of stuff. I remember him telling me things about what he had to go through, and all I can say is thank you, gentlemen, for everything that you've done for our country. It makes us be able to do what we're doing tonight.
yeah, I appreciate it, David.
So while we have a few minutes, do you have any questions, Budget Bug Out? Anything you want to know?
No, I mean I'm just listening to Jarhead talk about his Marine stuff, so it's nothing that I am too familiar with. I get some of the what's the word, jargon. It's ironic that I didn't know the word I was looking for.
You didn't know the jargon?
Yeah, jargon. It's like sometimes I'll make a joke. It'll be like, "What's that word?" I'm not very articulate. That's the word. But I have questions about. My own question is whenever we talk about his YouTube channel.
Right, and that's what I was segueing into. So we've brought you up through your young life and into your military career, and I think my military career, what really punctuated it, what really drove me was that sense of esprit de corps, that the again, not very articulate, but it's that it is the customs of the military that I really kind of did it for me. The uniform had to look a certain way, and the crisp salute, and the spit shine jump boots. When I was with the 101st Airborne, and I mean just all that stuff and that tradition, that esprit de corps that goes along with being a soldier, digging it. So we see a lot of that carry over onto your YouTube channel. Nearly every one of your videos will identify. You can, those of us that have been in the military, those of us that are probably some of them that are still serving in the military, can pick you out in a crowd and say, "Yep, this guy's ex-military," because of the language and the way you conduct yourself in your videos. So, when did you start your YouTube channel?
Man, it's funny you say that, Ted, because I don't even realize that, but I know exactly what you're saying, because a lot of times you could just look at a guy and say either, yeah, he's a Christian man, or two, yeah, he was in the military. But I retired from the Marine Corps. You guys know that because I got injured really bad, and apparently you have to have a back to be in the Marine Corps, and mine was gone. So I was sitting down in my house, and I was looking at a bunch of videos, and I'm like, man, I'm bored, and maybe I should start doing some videos, passing some information. I mean, there's so much crime going on, and a lot of times we concentrate on fighting the war outside the country, but there is an inside threat here in this country. There's a lot of crime, and a lot of people are completely either a not paying attention, or two, they want to prepare but they just don't know how. And that's crazy, because as military guys, we don't even realize this information, but we get so much training that the amount of information that we have versus a civilian is a lot more. And I mean, I'm not talking bad about civilians. I mean, that was our job. It's like, David was a firefighter. He knows about firefighting. That was his job. So, and some of these classes, they're charging like what, 400 to 500 bucks. So I decided to start doing some videos and start putting some information out there. And I actually thought nobody was going to pay attention to me and nobody was going to listen. And next thing you know, I got over 2,000 subscribers, and now I'm really stressed out because people are actually listening to me. So, yeah, to answer that question, I guess it was about a year ago when I started the channel. It being a lot of fun though.
So how many subscribers you have as of today?
I got 2,664, I think, right now. Some of those guys are good subscribers. Some of those guys are trolls, but they're welcome. Oh, 2,667. Everybody's welcome in the Jarhead 6 compound.
So and look, we're leaning into, we're going to go into the compound here in a minute because we're going to go over a little bit, but I don't want to miss out on some of this stuff. So 2,600, and so I think when you and me and the Alabama Owens first tied up, you were just short of 300, if I remember right. So you've really grown pretty good over the last. It's been right at a year, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. Probably about good 10 months at least.
Now, we started AMFAW in December. I think December the 12th of last year we started AMFAW, and it's done very well, and that's largely due to your activity in it, and I certainly recognize that. And again, I couldn't have hitched my wagon to a better star, I guess, to put it, and I'm glad we did. So you have recently kicked off your new website, the Jarhead 6 compound. I've been looking at it. Got to tell you, pretty impressed with it. I'm liking it a lot. And so give everybody the email address right quick so they can go check you out.
Yeah, it's jarhead6compound.com.
Awesome. And so on there, are your T-shirts for sale on there? The Jarhead 6 compound T-shirts, are they up on that? Link to that on there?
Yeah, you could just go in there, and there's a tab there for the T-shirts. Just click on it. I think it's maybe the third one on the top, and it's gonna show you the shirts that we made for the channel. You see right here, it says Jarhead 6, and this one says God is in control, because I always say that, but I got something there that doesn't say God is in control if you don't believe. So there's different choices out there, but I wanted to start something because a lot of people always ask me, hey, how can I support the channel? So I wanted to do something where people could support the channel, and that's where I went with it.
Awesome. So you're how many views does your channel have right now? Do you, just out of the top of your head? I mean, you're banging some pretty good numbers there.
No, I mean not so good like budget, but I think a little bit over 100,000 and 131,000 views or something like that.
All right, cool. Budget Bug Out, I think you had a question?
132,000.
My question was that I'm seeing this attention to detail. Now go over to you researching how to. I know you said that film editing was not something that you were particularly experienced with, so you've really delved into that. So my question is that have you noticed a boost from subscribers? I've always been curious because your graphics and your content and stuff is better than ever.
Yeah, I mean, I got a few guys, maybe 3 or 4 guys that contact me and ask me, hey man, how do you edit videos and this and that? And again, people, I do this with iMovie. It's free for Apple computers, but the key is to learn how to use the program, whatever program you have, to the max capacity, if you want to put it that way. And that's what I did. I spent days. I mean, I'm telling you, days to build that website, days watching videos to learn how to use iMovie, because yeah, I didn't know anything about videos, and finally I'm to a point that I guess like it. Plus Bush Hunt, Tony from Bush Hunt, check out his channel. He helped me out a lot too. He gave me some ideas, and now what I do is that I kind of find myself watching a video, but not only I'm watching the video, I'm also watching their style, how they, if that make any sense, how they do the video, you know, like either I'm talking and then I stop and then the introduction comes in, like I know I do that, you guys do that too. So different ways to do that, and I've been trying to stay away from all the stuff that you could purchase. You know, I want to do everything unique. So so yeah, I mean, definitely editing the videos is critical if you want to make it some way here on YouTube. As much information you have, if you don't have a way to pass it down, I don't think people are gonna make it. This is entertainment, people. People got to be entertained at the same time get information.
So we see that we find the magic number for most videos is 3 minutes or less. That's what the analytics was showing on AMFAW, and I think, you know, I'm getting nods from everybody in the panel right here that, you know, that's the magic number. Now we see people that are very, very successful on YouTube, and I don't know how the formula is working for them, but I'm going to use an example. Main Prepper. I don't think he has a video out there that's under 15 to 18 minutes. Some of them run 45 minutes. I mean, banging. I mean, he's just a pile of subscribers.
He's been doing it for a while, and the content, I mean, there's different ways that people put out content. There are some people that I will sit there and listen to for 10 minutes. There are certain people that 3 minutes is all they'll ever get.
Yeah.
Subscribers, anybody watching this right now, here's the deal. If you subscribe to my channel, that doesn't mean that I'm going to subscribe back to yours. I'd be happy to, as long as you participate and communicate. That's exactly, that's the way that I grow my friendships, and that's what I do with YouTube. Now, there's a certain point, these channels, I mean, once the numbers get so big, and I'm just over 2,000, and it's getting close to there. You can't be everybody's best friend, but that's not much different than real life, and you have to continue about real. You have to go through real life and not be everybody's best friend, but you get to be friends with a lot of people. So
yeah, you're right.
Well, look, we're getting down to the end of it here. I want to start for the late. Apologize rather.
You got feedback.
Yeah, I'm getting a little echo too. I want to show everybody the new Glock. The Glock 42 came out in 380. The Glock 52 is out in the next couple of weeks. It's the 50 BMG Glock. Got one right here. It's a little bit bigger than the average Glock. Very, very cool Glock. It only holds 9 rounds in the tube, but only real men can do that. And the holster is massive too. You can't conceal carry the thing. It's too big. So wanted to let Budget Bug Out close, not Budget Bug Out, but Jarhead 6 close us out with our world famous tagline. And thank you all for tuning in. Anybody got anything to plug? Hold it. Give me a thumbs up if you have something you want to put up. All right, David, good? All right. All right, you want to close us out, Jarhead 6? Oh, I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
All I was going to say is that I tried to make a video. I put a epic failure video out. I have GY6 vids sent me some RIP ammo, and I go to the shooting range, and I've got everything set up except for the cameras. I had my cell phone, and I was not going to make that video that way, so that's going to be real soon. And you know, I'm an old guy, so you got to give me some breaks for the loss of memory, I guess. But that's it. That's what's coming up, and I promise. GY6 Vids, shout out to him. Awesome. He sent me some RIP ammo.
All right,
Oh.
awesome, awesome. Well, everybody, don't forget to go give the Alabama Owens a look. Even though our friend is away from us, he's still close to our heart. Go see our friend the Skinny Medic on his channel. He's got some really good medical gear to see you. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Budget Bug Out, D. Will Hoyt, Kentucky Guns of Fun, and of course our friend Jarhead 6. Jarhead 6.
I appreciate everybody watching, and all my friends are warriors.